Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have a very interesting statement made by the Polish president Andrzej Duda. And his statement is a statement, and we're going to discuss its validity or see if it's true, or if Mr. Duda brings evidence to support his claims. The claims are very serious, the accusations, or maybe, his vision of the future. Okay, he predicts something. When you predict something, you have to bring the evidence and show, and then reach the conclusion based on the evidence. And see if Mr. Duda will present it and will present the evidence to support his claim. The claim is very, you're gonna see. Here it is. Comes from Ukraińska Prawda today, the 17th of April 2023. And this is what Mr. Duda says. If Russia defeats Ukraine, it will attack other states. That's what he says. Well, that's a statement. All right. So then I'm assuming that in this article he will provide us with sound evidence, okay, that will prove this statement to be true. All right. So when I was a boy in communist Romania, we had a class called geometry, which I enjoyed a lot after my mom made me enjoy it, and then I enjoyed by myself. Anyway, it was a very good class in the communist times. In the communist times, education in Romania was very good, was very strict and very good. I mean, it was very narrow-minded in certain kind of subjects, areas, but very rigorous, maybe too rigorous in many others. So in geometry class, this is the way we had to structure a problem, that we were working on. You had the hypothesis. Remember, this is not the scientific method, or when you write a study, you start with hypothesis and then you bring all the evidence and so on. No, you write a hypothesis, which were the data that you had. Then you write conclusion. This was the let's say regular hypothesis that you wanted to see if you can prove it or not. And then the third part was the demonstration, where you worked with the elements provided in the hypothesis to prove the demonstration, what was required. That's the way it was structured, okay? So don't judge a hypothesis is something else, hey, the conclusion is something else. That's the way it was. My friends from Romania, from those times, I'm pretty sure they remember that structure. Hypothesis, conclusion, demonstration. So Mr. Duda, in my Romanian mind, he came with the conclusion, the middle, something that he says. Now he has to bring the hypothesis, the evidence that he's gotten, and put it together in the demonstration that his conclusion is accurate. This is how we were used in our civilization, which is ancient Greek civilization and then the Roman civilization all together ended up in what we have with the Renaissance and all that. So in our civilization is like this, is required in an argument. If you make a statement, all right, or you make an accusation, you have to back it up with evidence to prove it. Or at least, hey, I reached this conclusion. You can say, well, I reached this conclusion. Everybody say, okay, yeah, that's fine, that's good. No. You will be asked, how did you reach that conclusion? And you have to, where I come from, to come with a demonstration. Provide, okay, this is how I reached this conclusion. So, Russia will attack other countries after it finishes Ukraine, or if it finishes Ukraine, because of this. And Duda will come in this article, I guess, and tell, because Russia this, Russia that, Ukraine this, and all this, if you link it in a certain way, you reach my conclusion. And we're going to stand and analyze. And we're going to come with some counter arguments, or we're going to build on your arguments and make your statement even stronger. All right? Let's see if Duda belongs to our civilization, or if Duda misses to use the civilization he comes from. Let's go. It's only rock and roll. Here is Mr. Duda. As I said, we can make all kinds of claims, but if we cannot support them with evidence, that makes us something else. Andrzej Duda, Polish president, reiterated the need to provide Ukraine with all military assistance, saying that if Russia wins, it will not stop to carry out aggression against other states. This is his statement. All right, now all that, I guess, is going to tell us the evidence, right? Because this sounds like someone is very afraid of something, and someone expects this. Russia to win, and they're very much afraid, it seems like, that if Russia wins, because they had a big mouth and they helped Russia's, if you want me to call it that way, enemy, they will be next. And again, let me give you this. I don't know if you have ever been jumped by a group of people. Well, if you haven't, or if you were, I tell you that the best method is to attack the strongest perceived guy in the group, and you have to knock that person out first, if you can. And then the weasels, that's going to be psychologically destroying the other ones, or it's going to be easier to them up. All right? It happened to me, and I apply that. Why? Because even Miyamoto Musashi, in his Gori no Sho, the book of the 5 rings, says so. But anyway, it was just coincidence, because you learn with life experience that you should knock out the strongest. So in this case, if Russia wins in Ukraine, that means it knocked out the strongest, not the Ukraine, but all the backup that Ukraine received from everybody else is knocked out. And after that, if Russia has resources and anger, we'll look for those weasel countries one by one and obviously punish them for trying to destroy them. That's how the Russians perceive this thing. So Poland and the Baltic states are first on Russia's list. I guarantee you that. Will Russia attack them? I don't think so. But let's see what arguments Mr. Duda brings. If. Alright, so source: Duda's statements at the press conference of 17th of April with his Italian counterpart Sergio Mattarella in Warsaw. Okay, the Polish president stressed that the advantage of such a superpower as Russia over Ukraine is obvious, and I'm quoting: "If Ukraine does not get help, Russia will win this war, which will only be the first step on Russia's part to extend its dominance over peoples of this part of Europe." That means your ass is on fire, Mr. Duda, you're scared. Alright, again, he just says this. I'm looking for evidence that he's going to bring, and I'm pretty sure he's going to bring, because he's a smart person. Duda added that the Poles know very well, and I'm quoting, "this Russian greed to rule over other peoples." Now, this is not evidence, you know that, right? To enslave other people, to deprive them of their potential and use it. Okay, and Poland doesn't have this greed? Okay, how do you base this greed on? On what exactly? On Russian history? Well, we can look at Poland's history. And if you're familiar with Poland's history from, let's say, 15th century until to 18th century, you're going to find a lot of Poles attacking other countries, surrounding countries, okay? One of them was Moldavia, and others. Just look in their history. So, I don't know, maybe the proportion was different, but the greed was there, all right? And this, again, just look at his history. So I don't know what Mr. Duda is talking about. I know exactly actually what he's talking about, because he's just pointing a finger at Russia without looking in the mirror. Unless they consider themselves the perfect people, always defending their nation, the country, the territory that is very small, and they never invaded anybody, which is false. They did. Again, look in the history. Don't be angry with me, my friends. Do not turn it on me. I'm the messenger. History is right there, okay? Just study, for instance, how many times Poland invaded Moldova. Moldova was not Poland, okay? Just for an example. That's one example. And look further, okay? Let's go back. So, again, I'm looking for the evidence. And that is why, so he said this, because the Poles know, somehow they know, but I'm waiting for the evidence, says that, and this is why they support Ukraine and perfectly understand their Ukrainian neighbors who want to defend their freedom and independence at any cost. All right, that's not evidence so far. We support them and we will continue to support them, and we call on the whole world to also continuously provide this support to Ukraine until this blah, 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 blah. Russia cannot win this war. If Russia wins this war, it will attack more countries. Again, statement, I'm looking to see evidence, because if you use history, I can look at your history, and yours is a little bit, as I said, proportion is smaller, because you were weaker. That's the only reason. You were weaker than Russia, and you couldn't do what Russia did to that extent. Also, according to Duda, Poland and Italy jointly support friendship. Okay, that's nothing here. They, Ukrainians, want to be with us. Well. To be on other side, on the side of the West, to belong to our community. How come the guy before 2014 did not want to be with the West? Wasn't he Ukrainian? Because I don't know about these guys right now, but wasn't he Ukrainian? What changed? We must pave the way for them to join this community. All right, you're assessing certain things without any evidence. But anyway, probably if you go now to Ukraine, to the current Ukraine, and ask, hey, you want to be with Europe or with Russia? I guarantee you they will say with Europe. So that's a fact, but still, it doesn't mean I'm still waiting for Mr. Duda's evidence. Earlier, Czech Foreign Minister Jaj Babama also said in the event of Ukraine's defeat, Russia would not stop and would go further into Central Europe. Therefore, the West should provide Ukraine with everything it needs. Okay, another guy who doesn't provide evidence. Let's see. Oh, that's the end of the article. Hello, Mr. Duda. So here's Mr. Duda. I'm sorry, I didn't see the evidence to support his statement. What does that mean? That means we can ignore it. But he is the president of Poland. Poland aspires to be the most important country in Europe, according to the Brits, according to the Poles. So they say that in 2 years they're going to be the biggest military power in Europe. I don't know how, but it's France that has nuclear weapons and Great Britain. But nevertheless, they will have, according to them, 300,000 personnel. Bigger than everybody else. Doesn't mean that they're perfect, but they're buying ammunition, they're buying weapons from the United States. Against what? I think against Russia. But hey, if those 20 HIMARS stop the Russians, why do they order 500? Plus 300 from South Korea. Sunuk, Tanuk, something like this. The same kind of air defense systems as HIMARS. So they would make about 800. Why? If 20 were good enough for the Russians. So this is an example. Don't get me wrong. How should I put it? If he would have provided with an intellectual answer or provide evidence like we provided in the 5th grade, we had to. In the 6th grade, 7th grade, and in geometry class, I expect a president of Poland to at least follow the same 5th grade level, a required method of supporting his claims with evidence. But he doesn't do that. He tells us that the Poles know. Okay? The Poles know that. And that's his evidence. Now, I don't know, you may love this guy, you may know, but if you are, I don't want to put it on you. Okay, let's move away. This is my assessment of this situation. And I think he didn't provide any evidence to support his claim. Now, could that happen? Is a possibility? Yes, it's a possibility. It's a probability? I don't think it's a probability. I would give it 10%. Doesn't mean that's not there. Now, remember all these guys said that Russia cannot beat Ukraine, poor Ukraine. Do you think that if the Russians are capable of destroying the Ukrainians, let's say, do you think that they will have the power to invade the rest of Europe? Poland is 39 million people. It's militarily much better prepared than Ukraine. I mean, and then it's going to be a real war, because it's going to be a real NATO with armies, with everything against Russia. Right now, yeah, they supply this, they tell them this, tell them what to do and so on, but it's still not, with the military really attacking over there. They will switch to war economy, and that would be a different story. And do you think Russians do not know that? The only thing that Russia has it's nuclear weapons that would equalize the whole thing. But then that doesn't mean they're going to attack anybody. You can't just attack with nuclear weapons because you're going to get hit with nuclear weapons. So anyway, unless you're crazy. And if you're crazy, they would have used it already. Why? Because they're losing. We heard that for what? A year and 2 months the Russians have been losing every day. And somehow this guy is talking about if they are winning. So he's thinking ahead. Is there a possibility, Mr. Duda? A probability? Do you know things that we don't know? I know he knows things that we don't know. So I think one of those is like, well, we're losing, how should I put it, the wind from our sails. So we're going to be like stalling right now. And that's exactly what the Russians are waiting for, the West to get tired. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.